In the meantime, all the divers get ready to start this final. We have had some great diving so far here in Sheshov in these few days. And here we are. We heard the whistle of the referee, and Lars steps onto the springboard for his first dive, a back 2.5 somersault pike, 3.0 degree of difficulty. Good job overall for Lars. He did get all the way straight with a very nice M3 in the water. The dive is pushed too far back from the board. There's a lot of distance between the position of the M3 and the board. So the judges deduct a few points for that. 6.5, 7 for Lars Rudiger, who did better on this dive this afternoon compared to what he did this morning. 60 points today, 58 this morning, so a little improvement there. Second diver up on the board is Danilo Konovalov from Ukraine. He was 6th last year in this event at Rome 2022 European Championship. He starts his competition with a forward 2.5 somersault double twist. Good job. It's a hard dive to start a competition with, but he does a good job with it. Doesn't finish it very well. He lets the dive over rotate a little bit too much, goes over and splashes quite a bit. He could have done definitely better. He did a bit better this morning. Gets 68 points today to start a competition, and he goes ahead of Lars in first place. The youngest diver in this final right now on the board, Jake Passmore, 18 years old. Jake was second in this event at World Junior Championship last December in Montreal, Canada. It's the first big final for him at senior level. Front 2.5 somersault, full twist. And nicely done. Very sharp in the air. Elegant. Nice somersault and twist. Has a really nice line of his knees, ankles, and toes when he enters the water. Perfectly done in the air, and good rip. N3 for Jake. 7.5, 8 for Jake. 69 total points on his first dive. And he gets ahead of everyone so far. Here we have Junior World Championship from Junior World Champion from the 2021 edition in Kiev, Jules Bouyer from Lyon, France. Inward 3.5 somersault tuck. He got 68 points on this dive this morning. And we'll get many more with this dive this afternoon. That was excellent. A very good top. The jump was very high, and especially the rotation, the somersaulting was extremely fast with a great vertical entry. This will go above 75 points for sure. Much more than what he did this morning. And yes, here we have the awards. 8, 8, and 7.5 are the scores that count. 79.90 for him. Good job. Already 10 points ahead of Jake Passmore, and Jules takes the lead. Jonathan Sukov. Inward 2.5 somersault pike for the diver from Switzerland. Another great inward rotation, inward somersaulting dive. It is perfectly executed, especially in the entry. Very clean. The entry does not splash at all. We can see how he grabs fast at his hands with perfectly straight elbows, and there are no splashes at all. 8 from the judges, 72 total points on the first dive for Jonathan. And Matthew Dixon now on the board. Front 3.5 somersault pike for the Plymouth-born British diver. Good job, especially managing to get vertical and with a really good entry, even though the hurdle and getting down from the hurdle back on the board, he wasn't doing a good job with that. He went completely off rhythm. We heard a lot of noise when he got back on the board. 7.5, 8 from the judges, 71.30 total points, is in third place at the moment. And now on the board, Alexis Gendard. Alexis did not compete in this event last year due to an injury that he suffered just a few weeks before European Championship in Rome. Inward 3.5 somersault tuck. And just like his teammate, he does a great job lining up this dive and getting the most out of a takeoff that in this case, compared to his teammate, was not perfect, but he still got pretty vertical. Very nice. A great dive to start off this final. And we can hear the awards from the judges. Straight 7s for him. 71.40. From Italy, Lorenzo Marzaglia. A forward 3.5 somersault pike for the diver that won last year's European Championship. Lorenzo won with a total of 453 points last year in Rome. And from the diving we have seen this morning, it might not be enough to win again this year. Oh, perfect execution. He could have gotten a little bit higher with his upper body and hands at the end of the circle arm when he took off, but he does a great job, especially at the bottom, to get a great rip. Look how good the pike position, squeezed as much as possible, and a nice entry for Lorenzo. See his teammates, European champions Matteo Santoro and Chiara Pellacani cheering for him. 8 from the judges, 74.40 for the Italian diver. His teammate now, Giovanni, with the same exact dive, a front 3.5 somersault pike, also for him, 3.1 degree of difficulty. Oh wow, this is even better in my opinion. Very high, extremely sharp in the pike position, perfect legs, straight legs. Look how tight that pike position is, and an amazing entry. And yes, the 9s, we hear 9s from the judges. Amazing job, 82.15 for him. And he bounces ahead of everyone. Excellent, excellent start of the competition by the 2 Italians, especially by Giovanni. Next up, Oleg Collodi, the oldest diver in this final. He did an amazing job this morning with his list. Starts off with an inward 3.5 somersault tuck. Got 71 points with this dive this morning. if he can repeat himself this afternoon, that would be a good start of the final. And he does that. Excellent, excellent takeoff from the springboard. He pushes very fast with his knees and ankles and toes, get the most out of it, and lines up correctly. Could have grabbed better at his ends, and he does exactly the same score as this morning. 71-40 are the total points on his first dive. From Germany now, another one that is here definitely aiming for gold. Moritz Weissman. He did not make the final last year in Rome in this event. He was 16th. He had a rough day, I guess, last year. And now he started very well this morning with his inward 3.5 somersault tuck, 81 points in the morning with this. And a good dive. Very well executed off the board and in the air. Unfortunately for him, it doesn't stay too tight in his core and does not get the entry he wanted. He's a little bit loose, so he's splashy entering the water. Not as good as this morning. Still a good overall dive. And let's see what the judges think. Yep, 6.5 for him, 69-70 total points for him on this one. The winner of this morning's preliminary round, Ross Haslam, a back 2.5 somersault pike for Ross. He started off with a not so good back 2.5 somersault pike this morning. 64 points for him on this dive this morning, but then kept on improving and got all the way to the top of the rankings at the end of this morning's prelims. Again, just like this morning, he does not get a perfect entry, lets the dive go too far over. This probably won't score very high. You see him here, a good push, the arms go all the way up, even a little bit too far back. The pike position is perfect, but when he comes out, it's a little bit too late, and his feet splash a lot too far over. Yeah, the winner of this morning prelims sits in last place in the rankings after one round of dives. He's in 12th place. And we see the rankings after the first round of dives now should be shown. Well, I can tell you, since they didn't show on screen, we have Giovanni Tocci in first, Jules Bouyer in second, and Lorenzo Marsaglia in third right now. It's just the first dive, so there's still a long way to go until we'll see who gets gold. 5 more dives. And Lars Rudiger is ready on the board for his best dive of the morning session, a reverse 1.5 somersault, 3.5 twist. And it's a good dive overall, not as good as the morning session. It was off rhythm coming down from the hurdle. And he probably overreacted in the air when it was time to line up. Didn't keep his composure and lost control a little bit of his stomach and abs. We saw it here. Little wiggle from his hips, getting the water. 6.5 and 7s from the judges. He sits at 130 total points after 2 dives. Danilo Konovalov now on the board. An inward 3.5 somersault tuck for the young Ukrainian diver. That was his worst dive this morning. And again, this is a mistake. This could compromise his chances of getting a medal here tonight in Sheshov. He never got all the way back up with his upper body and arms before jumping off the board. Leans too far forward, and that causes the dive to fall rapidly to the water. We see his legs landing far short before the vertical line. 4.5 from the judges. Just 45 points, 45-90 points for him. Jake Passmore already on the board. The Irish diver is going to show us an inward, an inward 2.5 somersault pike. Jake has the easiest list of the final. He's very young, still has time to improve the degree of difficulty, but he does an excellent job in these easier dives. He's very sharp in the air, very elegant, very nice to look at when he jumps and somersaults. See how he squeezes the pike position and gets a very clean entry in the water. 7.5 and 8 from the judges, total of 69 points, and he improves from these morning prelims with 2 points on this dive. Jules Bouyer, he was in second place after the first round of dives. Forward 3.5 somersault pike for him. And another great entry for the French diver. Same as the inward 3.5 somersault. It gets perfectly vertical and has no splashes at all getting in the water. The only thing about this dive, he should have kept it a little bit closer to the board in order to get higher scores, but straight 8s from the judges give him 74.40 points, 154.30, and he is ahead of everyone right now. Jonathan Sukup, forward 2.5 somersault, double twist for the Swiss diver that was in fourth after the first round of dives. And this is a mistake for him. Unfortunately, he gets a very good top, very good spinning rotation, very fast, that he didn't react to that the right way. He kept on pushing down with his shoulders on the come out from the twist right here, and the legs go over and slightly twisted as well. Judges noticed that it was not too heavy on the bottom, but definitely a little bit over and twisted. 6s for him. He lost a little bit of ground here compared to the other divers that dove before him. Not a huge mistake, but definitely a mistake for the Swiss diver if he wants a medal. Matthew Dixon now forward, double somersault, 2.5 somersault, double twist. Same dive as the Swiss diver before him, and he does a better job than Jonathan. Again, another hurdle where Matthew struggles a little bit with the rhythm. We heard again a lot of noise from the board when he got back on the board. Lost control of his feet while he was twisting, but straight 7s from the judges, and Matthew gets a total of 71.40 points, 142, and he is in second place right now. Next up, Alexis Gendard, the bronze medalist from the 2021 World Cup in Tokyo. Front 2.5 somersault, double twist. The hurdle was way too far to the left. That did not bother him at all. But we'll see from the slow motion how coming down from the hurdle, he was completely to the left side, then kept on going very well, very tight in the twist, and a great entry. A little bit of arch there. That's why the entry is not completely clean, but 7.5 from the judges, 146.20 total points. Right now he is in second place. Lorenzo Marsaglia, the Italian diver, is going to show us another front 2.5 somersault with double twist, and We saw now 4 times this dive in a row, and we will see it again by Lorenzo's teammate Giovanni after this. Takes his time to focus, and he goes here now. Very good job. Much better than what he did this morning, where he got 66 points. He will improve that score for sure here. Very nice control of the twist. And the entry is slightly short, but a good job overall for the Italian diver. We see Benedetta Molaioli, his coach. 8 from the judges. And Lorenzo gets ahead of everyone with this dive with 81.60, and he gets at 156 total points. Just 2 points, less than 2 points ahead of Jules from France. See his teammate Giovanni Tocci, same exact dive. Oh, another great dive by the Italian. Amazing entry. No splashes at all once again for Giovanni. He loses control of his feet a little bit while twisting, but then the entry in the water is amazing. 8 for him from the judges. The entry really helped him there. And 81.60, just like his teammate before him, and Giovanni gets ahead of everyone. Oleg Collodi now. Back 2.5 somersault pike. Oh, great entry. Spectacular dive by the Ukrainian, very well experienced diver. It was very sharp in the air, it squeezes his pike position very well. I personally don't like very much the way he brings his arms back, completely straight like that, but it works for him, gets a perfect entry, and 8 from the judges for Oleg. 72 points, 143.40 for Oleg Collodi after 2 dives. Maurice Weisman, see if he can recover after a little mistake in the previous round. Reverse 3.5 somersault tuck. Very good top. Oh, nice dive. Too bad it doesn't nail the entry, because that top was perfect. It goes extremely high in the air when taking off. See it here. And then comes out after 3 somersaults, way above the 3-meter springboard, but we see a lot of splashes when he enters the water. That ruins it a little bit. These could have scored high, very high, but that entry should have been much better than that. 7s from the judges, 73.50. Still a good score. He's at 143.20 in 6th place at the moment. And now we have Ross Haselam. He definitely got a huge miss on the first round of dives in a back 2.5 somersault pike. He wants to recover. And with the inward 3.5 somersault tuck, he scored 66, and that won't be enough to be back in the top 6, so he'll need much better than what he did this morning. And it does a good job. Not great though. He pushes his hips too far back before taking off from the board. That creates some distance between him and the board. Also, he's slightly tilted to the left. We saw it here. And that causes him to splash too much. But does much better than what he did in the first round, obviously. All the judges agree. And the score, the award for him is straight 7s. A total of 71 points for him. 125. While the rankings, I'll are shown now on screen. Giovanni, Lorenzo, and Jules are the top 3 divers so far. I can tell you that compared to this morning's prelims, only 4 divers changed their list. And they are Jonathan Tsukov from Switzerland, the 2 Italian divers, Lorenzo and Giovanni, and Alexis Jandard. They all added in their list the 4.5 somersault tuck with a 3.8 degree of difficulty, and we will see them later on in their list. They all will compete it as a last dive. Lars Rudiger now, reverse 3.5 somersault tuck. Oh, very good pop. Very good pop. The entry could have been cleaner, but the top part of this dive was very well executed. Above 6 meters and pulls a little bit too far back with his shoulders in the entry. Danilo Konovalov now on the board. He is ready for his front 4.5 somersault tuck. Very strong off the board. He does not get in a good tuck position. Struggles in the air while somersaulting. The hurdle was good, just his left toes over the end. But then the tuck position, I guess it didn't manage to squeeze it well enough to get all the way vertical. So he gets 5.5 from the judges. Another mistake for the young Ukrainian diver on this dive. And he will score less than what he did this morning on this dive. Yeah, exactly. 62 total points on this dive, 176 for him after 3 dives. Jake Passmore now. A back 2.5 somersault pike, 3.0 degree of difficulty for Jake, who was sitting in 8th place after 2 rounds of dives. And nicely done again. An easy dive, just 3.0 degree of difficulty, but very, very well executed. The entry, especially in the water, has no splashes at all. Not very high, gotta be honest. Not very high. Could have jumped higher on the takeoff, but solid dive. An overall performance today by Jake. He's at 202.50. And he's in 2nd place, right behind Lars Rudiger, who is sitting at 203 points. Jules Bouyer now, a back 2.5 somersault pike, same dive as Jake before him. This is his easiest dive of the competition. These and the reverse 2.5 somersault pike are the 2 easiest ones. See how he performs that. And very well. Is much stronger than Jake, who dove before him off the board. A very nice jump, very high, perfect pike position. Squeezed all the way with the face between his knees, and a great entry. The judges agree, and he gets 8 from them, 226.30, 72 points on this dive. Very well executed by Jules. Jonathan now from Genève, Switzerland. He was 10th last year in this event in Rome. And he's going to show us another back 2.5 somersault pike. Good job. The entry is the only thing missing there. The top part was good. I like all the movements he does. in the air to get in a pike, even in pike position. We can see it here how he grabs all the way to his elbows with his hands. Good job. But here at the very bottom, he is a tiny bit short in order to get higher scores. Sevens for him, 63 points, 196.20 total. Matthew Dixon now. Inward 3.5 somersault tuck for Matthew. This is Matthew's first big final on springboard. He has been a medalist at European Championship 3 times, but always on the 10-meter platform synchro event. Good job. Good job with this inward 3.5 somersault tuck. Coaches seem definitely happy with it. He could have gotten a better entry, but yeah, it's not very splashy, but it is over with his legs. There are not many splashes, but definitely his legs go a little bit too far over compared to the perfect vertical line. For Matthew, a total of 66.30 points on this dive. He is at 209 points in second place behind Jules Bouyer. And here is Jules' teammate, Alexis, a back 2.5 somersault pike. Good overall, not excellent though. Not an excellent dive by Alexis. He could have done better, especially on the takeoff. He's quite far from the board when getting in the water, and also his legs are not completely vertical. They over-rotate. And so the judges deduct a few points because of that. Could have done better on this one. 6.5 sevens for Alexis. 61.50 with this dive. He's at 207 points. Now Lorenzo Marsaglia, same dive for him. A back 2.5 somersault pike. And Lorenzo does another good dive. Clean entry, not bad at all. Probably, just like Alexis before him, this dive should have been kept closer to the board. And in the entry, probably a better placement of the hands on the water could have given him a better entry. But overall, he can't complain. Sevens from the judges, 63 total points on this dive, and Lorenzo is at 219 points. His teammate now, Giovanni Tocci, same exact dive. So far, the two Italians have competed the same dives. The only different dive they have is in the next round, the reverse dive. Giovanni is doing a 2.5, while Lorenzo is doing a 3.5. And Giovanni does an amazing job with his back 2.5 somersault pike. And another excellent entry. Another great rip for him. See him coming out of the 2.5 somersaults now, and great, excellent way to line up and place his hands on the water completely flat. 7.5s and 8s for him. Total of 70 points. And Giovanni is at 234 in first place. Oleg Collodi, a forward 3.5 somersault pike. And this is a mistake for him. On the easiest dive, the forward 3.5 somersault pike, He does not get all the way vertical. He scored on this dive 69 points this morning, and he will not get up there this afternoon for sure. Yeah, we saw it in the slow motion how his legs just never got vertical. 6.5 from the judges, 60 points on this dive, and 203 total points for Oleg Kolodi. Maurice Basement now. A forward 2.5 somersault double twist. And another extremely high dive by Moritz. He jumps very, very high. But once again, I gotta say, when he lines up, he lets the legs go over and does not get the most out of it. With such takeoffs, he could just line up nice and easily, no rush. Instead, he lets it roll over. Morris is at 214 points, 20 points behind the leader of the competition so far, Giovanni Tocci, who is already creating quite a gap behind him. 8 points in front of Jules and 15 in front of his teammate Lorenzo. But we have the last diver of this round, Ross Aslam. Reverse 1.5 somersault, 3.5 twist. Good job. Not bad at all. The only thing I saw live was a little arch while getting in the water, but overall a very well executed dive. You see it here, he squares out of the twist, but his legs are a little sideways to the right, and that causes him to slightly splash when entering the water. Not bad at all. 202 points. He is trying to get back on track after not a so well executed first two dives. The score on screen, you can see the scores and the rankings after the 3 round of dives. So we are halfway through. Giovanni Tocci in first, Jules Bouyer in second, and Lorenzo Marsaglia in third. Closes the rankings Danilo Konovalov at 176 points. And we have the second part of this final starting now with Lars Rudiger. And from now on, the pressure goes up on every single diver. The best part of tonight's final is about to start with Lars. The last 3 rounds, when things get decided. Inward 3.5 somersault tuck for Lars. And a good top. This morning, Lars missed this dive for 56 points. And I gotta say again, this afternoon, it is not the performance he wanted on these inward 3.5 somersault. The somersault is fine, the takeoff is good, it's just the entry. He never grabs his hands. Looks like he doesn't believe in it, doesn't believe he can get vertical and has time to grab his hands, so he just doesn't and lets the dive go over. Danilo Konovalov now. Back 2.5 somersault pike for him. 3.0 degree of difficulty. Nicely done, much better than the previous 2 rounds. Slow in the somersault, but mainly because he only needs to complete 2.5 somersaults, so he controls the come out and lines up correctly. Very sharp and clean entry in the water. 7.5 from the judges. He gets up to 244 points. He doesn't seem too happy with his performance, probably because of the previous 2 dives. And now Jake Passmore on the board. Forward 3.5 somersault pike. Same, taking a deep breath. Focusing. And he steps up now on the hurdle. Oh, nice dive in the air. I really like the way he brought his arms back up, all the way up before jumping off the board. This makes the dive go very, very high. We see it here. And then at the very last part, in the very last part of the dive, he lets the legs just go too far over and a lot of water just splashes up in the air. Too bad. This dive could have gone much, much better with a better entry. I was ready to see 8, but then it just goes too far over. So 6.5 for Jake. Jules Bouyer now. A reverse 1.5 somersault, 3.5 twist. His best dive in the morning. And again, another amazing dive by the French diver. I'm not sure this is as good as it did this morning, score-wise. Probably not, but still an impressive performance by this young French diver. Very good lining it up, keeping his core stability and lining up perfectly vertical. 7.5 sevens from the judges. Total of 75 points for him. Yeah, so not as good as this morning, but still very high scoring dive. Jonathan Sukov now on the board. Reverse 2.5 somersault pike. The one dive that he missed completely in the morning. Only 46 points for him this morning on this dive. Oh, another mistake for Jonathan on this dive. Also this afternoon, we saw him almost balking on the board, stopping completely because his feet were completely over the end. He struggled a little bit on takeoff, had to squeeze as long as possible in the air, that pike position. And again, another dive that does not reach 50 points for him, because the judges' award are 5.5, 5.5, and 5. The 3 judges that matter for the total score of 48 points. Quite disappointed, not the performance he wanted for sure. And now, Matthew Dixon. Reverse 3.5 somersault tuck for the British diver. And a great job, just like Jonathan before him, but not as bad as Jonathan. He was leaning too far forward for a reverse kind of somersaulting. He doesn't care and just squeezes that tuck as long as possible and gets a great dive out of that kind of situation after the hurdle. He does definitely the best out of it. Sevens. And a 6.5, 7.1 points for Matthew. Alexis Jandard now on the board. Reverse 1.5 somersault, 3.5 twist. And a beautiful dive. Beautiful, especially on the hurdle and in the press of the board. I really like the rhythm, the positions. The only problem with this dive is that when he tries to line up in the water, he doesn't get all the way straight with his hips and legs. He stays a little bit piked and his toes are not very well pointed. So the score from the judges is straight sevens and 281 total points for Alexis, who is in second place right now. Lorenzo Marsaglia now, a reverse 3.5 somersault tuck, 3.5 degree of difficulty for the Italian diver who's in third place before this dive. Good job by the Italian diver. The only problem with it, he was off rhythm on the hurdle. He pressed the board off time and causes him to reach to his legs a little bit ahead of time. He had that somersaulting quite too high on the knees, that grab with the hands on the knees, and goes too far over. The scores are going to be low for him. 5.5 sixes, 59.50 points, and this is a mistake for one of the divers that wanted to win today. It's a very low score, unfortunately for Lorenzo, who is in 4th place at the moment. Giovanni Tocci now with the easier reverse dive, the 2.5 somersault pike. And he does an amazing job. This is an amazing reverse 2.5 somersault pike. We hear the Italian clan screaming for him. He lines up perfectly in the water. And this is a great dive. 8.5 and 8 from the judges. 75 points for Giovanni on this dive. That is usually the one he struggles with. And he does the best he can do. 309 points for Giovanni. He's in 1st right now. Oleg Kolodi. Reverse 3.5 somersault tuck. And Oleg is probably out of medal contention after this mistake. The 2nd one in a row. Reverse 3.5 somersault tuck that goes way too far over. Probably for 4.5s and maybe 5s. Yeah, exactly. And we see his teammates reacting to that entry that went too far over. 50 points, 254.60 for the Ukrainian diver, who is in 8th place right now. Moritz Weissman. Moritz has a really hard dive now. The back, actually the last 3 dives are very hard for him. The back 3.5 somersault tuck, first of all now. His worst dive of the preliminary round. Just 43 points with it this morning. Let's see if he can do better. And he does much, much better than this morning. We see Christoph, his coach, reacting to Moritz dive. Amazing job on this back 3.5 somersault tuck. Very hard and difficult dive. See, not many divers do it in this competition. 7s from the judges. Only thing about this dive is not a perfect lineup, but 75 points is a very good job with it. And Moritz is at 290 points. Even though he didn't start very well his final, Moritz is one of the divers we gotta always keep an eye on, because he'll finish with 2 very hard dives, 3.8 and 3.9 degree of difficulty. And now on the board with a forward 4.5 somersault tuck is Ross Haslam. Another diver than in the last 2 dives has very high degree of difficulty dives. Oh, what a good job with this forward 4.5 somersault tuck. Perfectly executed off the board. He goes very high up in the air and does a much better job than what he has done so far today, lining it up. Clean as possible, considering he's coming out of 4.5 rotations. 7s from the judges. Almost 80 points for him, 79.80, and he gets at 282 points. And we have the scores now. Giovanni Tocci is leading with 8 points ahead of Jules Bouyer. Moritz Weissman in 3rd place. And the rest, you can see them on the screen. We are about to start the 3rd round now, the 5th round of dive. Excuse me about that. I apologize. Forward 4.5 somersault tuck for Lars Rudiger. Lars was in 9th place, and this morning on this dive he scored 58 points. And for Lars, another amazing takeoff. He goes so high, but in order to make 4.5 somersaults, you also need some speed in the somersault. He does not get that. Just goes very high, but after he goes high, he rapidly falls back down, not spinning enough to get vertical. And so he gets 4s from the judges. 303 total points right now for Lars. Danilo Konovalov, reverse 3.5 somersault tuck. Oh, nice dive. He moves his hips before jumping before getting his legs straight off the board. He moves his hips too far forward and keeps that position also when he comes out, the same arch too much, both on the takeoff and in the entry. The entry is not very well executed, and the scores are 5.5, 6, 5.5, 303 points for him, as well as Lars Rudiger. Jake Passmore now, reverse 2.5 somersault pike. Jake needs 5s in order to get ahead of Lars and Danilo. And he does a good job with this dive. It seemed to me that getting in the water, he was twisted with his hips. Probably the judges who are much closer than me might have noticed that. And yeah, we can see here is even better. We see how we can see his legs just twisting before getting in the water, and that causes him to get lower scores. 6s, 54 points, still ahead of Danilo and Lars, but not by much. Jules Boyer now, same dive as the Irish diver before him, reverse 2.5 somersault pike. And this could be not enough to be on the top 3 ranked divers at the end of this round. This is a mistake by Jules. The entry is completely missed, very heavy in the water. You see the reaction of his teammates. 6.5 from the judges. This could cost him a lot. 57 points is way below average in this final. The average, at least for the medals. 358 points for Jules. Now Jonathan Sukov. Reverse 1.5 somersault, 3.5 twist. And this is his best dive by far. Very, very beautiful up in the air. High and elegant. Perfect twisting position, completely straight with legs together, and a nice clean entry to finish it. 7s from the judges, and a total of 317.70 points. Jonathan is now in 2nd place in front of Jake Passmore and behind Jules. Forward 4.5 somersault tuck for Matthew Dixon from Great Britain. Matthew needs 7s from the judges if he wants to get ahead of everyone else right now. And most likely he will not get 7s. The dive finishes too far short after an okay takeoff, probably not high enough, and that is the reason why he is not vertical at the entry, exactly as I thought. The judges give him 5.5. He gets to 343 points, 15 points behind Jules Bouyer. He could have done better with these forward 4.5 somersault. Mathieu loses a few points there. Alexis Gendard, reverse 3.5 somersault tuck. Very good top. And a great dive by Alexis Gendard. Very good. He needed 7.5 to be in front of his teammate Jules. Probably not 7.5, but definitely close to that score. This dive was very, very, very high. Nice tuck position. And good entry. Again, also on this dive, he doesn't point his toes very well. Feet and toes. Yeah, 7s from the judges. 354 and 70 points. He's just 4 points behind Jules Bouyer. Waiting for the other divers to complete their 5th round of dives. And first of the remaining divers is Lorenzo Marzaglia from Italy. Inward 3.5 somersault tuck. Big mistake on the reverse 3.5 somersault tuck in the previous round for him. Oh, nice dive by Lorenzo. This inward 3.5 somersault tuck is very well executed. I liked it off the board. The distance is correct. Slightly to the right side of the springboard, but it's a good entry. He slightly loses control of his feet getting in the water. His coach is happy with that. 7s from the judges, 69-70 in this dive, and 348 total points right now. He's in 3rd place. Next up, the leader of the competition so far, Giovanni Tocci, same exact dive as his teammate. With this dive this morning, Giovanni scored 73 points. And as of right now, he only needs 5s from the judges to be ahead of everyone and get ahead of Jules. And the dive is good, but not as good as we've seen him do in other occasions. A very good top. He jumps very high and spins extremely fast. The come out is slightly too late and off time. So he gets, you can hear, we see him go over here from this side. 6.5 from the judges. His lowest scoring dive, 64 points. He's at 373. Way ahead still of the rest of the group. I want to remind you that in a couple of dives we have Moritz and Ross from Germany and Great Britain who still have very high degree of difficulty dives and could catch up. Front 4.5 somersault for Oleg Kolodi, and it is very well executed after a couple of mistakes by the oldest competitor in this event. He gets very well off the board in this front 4.5 somersault and a good entry. Vertical, slightly over, but very good job for such a hard dive. 77.90 points, 77.90 points, 332.50 for him. Maurice Beseman now. Same dive for the German diver. And Maurice needs 7.5 to be ahead of everyone else. Oh, wow, he will get there. He will get ahead of everyone else with this dive. It was very well executed. Another takeoff that takes him up in the air and spins correctly. Nice tuck position. The entry is not perfect, but good enough to give him 7.5 and 85.50 total points. And now we have a new leader but just 2 points. Moritz is ahead of Giovanni Tocci. Let's see how Ross Haslam, who's trailing behind by a little bit, how he responds to that dive. Reverse 3.5 somersault tuck, lower degree of difficulty for him compared to Moritz. He needs 9s to get ahead of Moritz. And he won't get there. No, big mistake for Ross. Another mistake, and he's in danger of not getting medals at all after this. This is probably going to score 4.5s, maybe 5s. Yeah, exactly. And too low of score for him. No, these are not his scores that you see. These are not the scores you see for Ross on the screen. He got 4.5s, and he gets at a total of 331 points. On the screen you saw different scores. Those weren't the actual awards for Ross Haslam. So first in the rankings right now is Moritz Besemann with 375. Giovanni Tocci is in second at 373, and Jules Boyer is at 358 in third place, with his teammate very close behind him, just 4 points behind Alexis Gendard. This is another exciting final round of dives at European Championship. 12 more divers, and we'll know who the new European champion is. Lars Rudiger, forward 2.5 somersault double twist. Nicely done. Very high up in the air once again. Both German divers just jump extremely high. Nice twist by Lars, and a beautiful entry. Very clean. His best dive of the day, 76.50. 7.5s from the judges. And now Lars is done with his final. We have Danilo already on the board. Back 2.5 somersault, 1.5 twist. A 3.4 degree of difficulty for the Ukrainian diver. Good job overall, slightly short at the end. The twisting and piking part of the dive are perfect, very sharp, perfect positions. The entry is just short, not by a lot, but short. 6.5s and 7s by the judges, 371.60 for him. He'll most likely finish in 12th place. Jake Passmore now, a forward 2.5 somersault double twist in a pike position, 3.4 degree of difficulty. Good top. Good top, and overall a great dive, but gotta say, when he came out of the twist, he grabbed his hands a little bit too early, and it was not complete. You can see it here. He grabs while he's still in a pike position, and that makes the legs not get all the way vertical. He could have done a bit better there, but 383.70 for him. A good job in his first big final. Jules Boyer now. He was in third place. Big dive for him. Forward 2.5 somersault double twist. Good hurdle. Oh, what a nice dive to finish his final and put pressure to the other divers that are going to dive after him. Amazing job, very high up in the air. This is a great performance by the French diver, who unfortunately got a mistake on the reverse 2.5 somersault. 8s from the judges. We see him entering the water and then exploding with joy after it, punching the water. 8s from the judges. 81.60, 440.15 points. Keep that score in mind. 440, because that's what the others are looking for at in order to get ahead of everyone right now. Jonathan Sukov, forward, 4.5 somersault tuck. This is the first diver. Ooh, nice dive. This is the first of the 4 divers that in the afternoon changed their list in order to compete this dive. And Jonathan does an amazing job with it. Too bad he missed earlier in the competition, because if he would have finished and if he would have been fighting for medals with this dive, he would have scored even more. He would have gotten everyone excited for this. It was very good. 7s from the judges for him. Total of 79.80, 397.50 points for Jonathan Sukov. Matthew Dixon now. Back, 3.5 somersault tuck. We have seen this dive only from Moritz in this competition before, and we won't see him again by the other divers. He was in 6th place before this dive at 3:43. He still has a chance for medals. Just slightly short. Does not get all the push and all the help he could get from the springboard in order to go higher and have enough time to line up. We see him arching very much before getting in the water, and the awards are not very high. It's a very hard dive. 5.5, 401 points. Too bad for him. We have 4th ranked diver before this round of dives, Alexis Jandard, in 4th place before this dive. Forward, 4.5 somersault tuck. Good dive. It's a high risk, very risky dive, but also very rewarding if you get it perfect. He was all the way to the left of the springboard. He probably did not get the best jump out of the springboard, and when he comes out, he keeps it short, a little bit too short. Yeah, still a good dive though. 7s from the judges, 76 points. 430. He is behind his teammate by 10 points. So Jules Bouyer is still in the lead. Let's see what, with the same dive, Lorenzo Marsaglia does. Lorenzo needs 8.1 average. So 2 8s and an 8.5 in order to get ahead of Jules Bouyer. Deep breath for the Italian diver. Oh, no. He completely missed the hurdle. Going completely over the end, he decided not to go for it and stopped, went back, and now he's going to try again. Unfortunately, this will have a deduction of 2 points by each judge. And he does a good job with it after. But yeah, we see the head coach of the Italian team shaking his head. Too bad. It's the second time this happens to an Italian diver today. In the morning, Giovanni Tocci balked on the reverse 2.5 somersault. So this dive only scores 4s. It would have been a 6, but unfortunately for Lorenzo, he does not repeat himself after the gold medal of last year. But let's move on to the other Italian diver who decided to add to his list the 4.5 somersault tuck, Giovanni Tocci. needs 8. Oh no, sorry, it needs the last. It needs 6s to get in front of everyone. Oh, big mistake by Giovanni. Oh, we saw him quite desperate underwater. He came out way too early. Even before the 4th somersault, we see him here perfectly. 3 and 4 somersault. He comes out towards the ceiling with his head instead of towards the water. And desperation mode for Team Italy. 2.5s for Giovanni. This is what pressure does to you when you are fighting for gold. Just 26 points for him. He closes at 400 points already out of the podium. Incredible, incredible drama for Team Italy in these last 2 dives. Now Oleg Kolodi. Let's see how the remaining divers react to what has happened in this last round. Incredible. We still have Jules Bouyer in front of everyone. His teammate Alexis in 2nd. And Matthew Dixon in 3rd right now. Oleg Kolodi needed 7s to get ahead of Matthew. And he might get there. Incredible with the performance of the Italian. Yes, and Oleg Kolodi with 7s. 2 7s and a 6.5. He gets in third place at the moment at 402 points. And now we have Moritz Baseman, who needs 5.5s to be in front of everyone. Incredible how the tables have turned in this last round. I told you, Moritz has very difficult competition, very difficult list. And forward 2.5 somersault triple twist is his last dive. Oh wow, what a dive by the German diver. We see Christoph and Philipp, the German coaches, exploding because this is the winning dive. Amazing job. Extremely high up in the air and perfect triple twister. This is a very hard dive and a great entry. Here we have for sure the new European champion. Moritz Baseman with this dive secures the gold medal. We still have Ross Haslam for a medal. Ross needs 8.5s to be on the podium and 9.5s to be in 2nd place. He could do that. He needs nearly perfection. So nothing is set yet. Alexis Gendard, who is in 3rd place right now, still at risk. Good job, but I'm sure the judges noticed that getting in the water, he over-twisted this dive. We'll see it here from the slow motion. The verticality was good, but we saw his legs over-twisting. And this might be not enough. Yeah, you can see it from here. And this is not enough for a medal. 403 points, and Ross Aslam is in 4th place. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, the rankings after 6 amazing round of dives, especially the last 2 were super exciting. As I told you throughout the final, wait until the last dive because that's when everything gets decided. And we see Moritz Baseman from Germany, new European champion with 465.40 points. Jules Bouyer from France, 440.15. And his teammate Alexis Gendard, 430.70. What an amazing competition this was. Incredible how diving is. How the tables have turned with the last 2 rounds of dives. I am super excited. This was awesome. I hope you enjoyed it. Everyone is congratulating Moritz These two were junior world champion and second place at the World Junior Championship 2 years ago, and now they're back together on the top two steps of the podium. The medals will be presented by land president Antonio da Silva. And with him, the mascots will be presented by Kristina Stachowska. And here's the bronze medalist from France with a total points of 430.70 points, Alexis Gendard. The silver medal goes to the other French diver, Jules Bouyer. Silver medal with 440.15 points. And now, the winner of the gold medal. Total points of 465.40 from Germany, with an amazing last dive of nearly 90 points, is Moritz Wessemann. This was an incredible final. Once again, here in Czechov, we have a final that is decided at very last dive. And until the very last dive, we still didn't know who was gonna get what medal. Especially in this case, we had a lot of drama and awesomeness out of springboard. A lot of going on in this final, and we were very, very excited.